Hello everyone, this is the daily devotional video for March 15th, 2018. Our passage for today is in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. The title for today's devotional is Finishing Well. In a race, what's most important isn't how one begins, but how one finishes. Prizes are awarded only for crossing the finish line, not for great starts. And this is also true for the Christian life. Hebrews 12:1, the verse I just read, encourages us to run with endurance the race that is set before us. In 2 Timothy 4:9-11, we see a contrast between two runners, Mark, also known as John Mark, and Demas. When Paul and Barnabas left for their first missionary trip, Mark went with them. But early in the journey, he left to return home. It's from Acts 13, verses 5 and 13. From Paul's perspective, this seemed like a desertion. So a couple of years after that, he refused to let Mark come on a second missionary trip. That's from Acts 15:36-40. Although Mark had not begun well, Scripture shows that the situation changed. On nearing death 2 decades later, Paul requested Mark's company because the younger man was useful to him for service. That's from 2 Timothy 4:11. Mark had proven himself faithful by persevering in obedience and service to the Lord, and eventually he wrote the gospel bearing his name. Demas, on the other hand, though also called a fellow worker of Paul's, this is from Philemon 1:24, deserted the apostle several years later because of love for worldly things, from 2 Timothy 4:10. It's so easy to get caught up in the pleasures and pursuits of earthly life and forget that as Christians, we have a higher priority. That's why Scripture reminds us to lay aside every encumbrance hindering our race. That's in the passage we read today. Once we cross the finish line and see Christ face to face, all worldly pleasures will fade in comparison to the joy of hearing Him say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That's from Matthew 25:21. That's a powerful devotional. So important to finish strong, to run the race and finish strong, and keep your eyes focused on Christ. I love you guys so much. Have a blessed day. I hope to see you back here again tomorrow.